Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Collins Okunbo from Academy Halogen. Welcome to day 3 of the cybersecurity free training. So day 1, we talked on the history of the internet. What is cybersecurity? Why you need cybersecurity? What is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity management, incident response to cyber attacks, features and components of cybersecurity, CIA tribe, introduction to hackers and types of hackers, consequences of hacking, terminologies and common attacks in cybersecurity, top things you need to stay safe online, fundamentals and building blocks of security and privacy. So day 2, we looked at understanding cyber attacks, familiarizing with networking and with applications, hacker toolkits, social engineering attacks and mitigation strategies, password cracking and mitigation, web exploits, threat tactics, malware, attack kill chain and attack vectors, deep dive into the dark web, physical attacks, indicators of compromise, tactics, techniques, and procedures, man-in-the-middle attacks, window hacking tricks. So while in day 3, we'll be looking at the practical aspects of this training. So we'll be starting off with setting up a testing lab environment, installing Kali Linux, familiarizing Kali tools, career path in cybersecurity. While tomorrow, Saturday, is the tutorial session, which will start from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Now, after that is your assessment. So this assessment is expected to be taken and submitted before midnight tomorrow. So when you do that, then we'll move on to, okay, let me share the structure of today with you. So the break schedule for today, so we're starting from 12 to 1 p.m., which is for our practicals. So after that, from 1 p.m. to 2 is our break session. So we expect you to go for your break for 1 hour. So by 2, you expect to resume. So by 2 p.m. to 3, continue with the practical. So we expect everyone to follow through with this break schedule just to keep up with what we've been doing. So thank you very much for this, for your consistency, your commitment thus far. It shows that we are seeking for more. It shows that we know what we are doing and we are serious. Thank you very much. And the next person you see is your facilitator who will continue with this journey with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to day 3 of our cybersecurity course. I'm sure you heard all Collins, my colleague, has explained on the schedule for today. So there'll be a break for people to be able to pray. Those that want to pray, those that want to stretch, those that want to take a cup of coffee, or have something to eat. So we have more than enough time even for you to prepare your indomie or noodles. And so yeah, today there's a very long break. For those of you that have been following our classes from day one, I'm sure you will agree with me that we've been on the theory part of being an ethical hacker. So we promised you that today we'll be doing a little bit of practicals, and today we'll be doing a little bit of practicals. So get yourself braced up. I hope you're all ready with your systems. For those of you that don't have a computer with you, don't bother. It's not so compulsory, but it would have helped you if you had one. So don't worry, just take notes. I'll make sure that whatever we're doing, and if you have your phone with you, you can take screenshots, just snap, and then when you're ready with your system, or when you have a computer, when you have enough time to be able to practicalize all these things, then you go back. So I advise you that whatever screenshots you can take, please do so. And I hope you'll be able to catch up with it. And if you don't have any questions, I've told you earlier on in this course that you can just shoot us an email on info@academyhalogene.com, and we'll be glad to respond to you. I promised you 24 hours, and we'll make sure we try to keep to that. In 24 hours, we'll respond to any of your queries. And I've been seeing some of you adding me up on LinkedIn. Well, you can do that also if you want. Bankole Adekola on linkedin.com. And yeah, I can also respond to you from there also. You won't find me on any other social media, trust me. But at least LinkedIn is good enough for professionalism. So yes, with all that, I'm just trying to make sure that people that need to join or people that have issues joining early can still catch up. So I'll start shortly. Maybe like 10 minutes past 12, at least we go deeper into what we're doing. So for yesterday, I'm sure those of you that have followed all through, you realize that yesterday we're trying to keep up to time, and that made me rush up on few topics, but I will not want to go over everything that we did yesterday. I'll just go over the last part, which is the introduction to the dark web. Today. I'll do that today. We'll go over that briefly before we go into the practical aspect. And before then, I can just quickly, okay, so before we do the introduction to the dark web, let me just rush over to the slide where we have what you're going to need for the practical. So for those, okay, don't worry, let me not do this because it might be distracting. So I wanted you to download some of those things we told you. We gave you the list of what you should download yesterday. For those of you that downloaded it, that's fine, but hope you've not installed it because there might be one or two little changes that would be required when you're installing. So just take it easy. And for if you're not able to catch up today, we still have a session tomorrow. That's the actual reason why we had to add that extra day. It's for those that might not be, maybe we were too fast for you today. So you have tomorrow to come around, ask your questions. Like I told you, shoot your questions early enough to the academyhalogene.com, and so that we can prepare for your, and we can prepare the response for you before then. So if you run into any issues, because the chat box really will not really be able to respond to all the chat. The chats are so many on the chat box, so that might not be the route for us to take to respond to your questions. So for today, I think you're ready. Most of you should be ready by now. So I will not hesitate to start with introduction to dark web. So yes, we did a very fast summary of what the dark web was yesterday. So today I'll take my time to explain that to you. What again? So yes, I think we can start. So what is the dark web? What is the dark web? So one of the major reasons for I told you yesterday we had three different parts of the whole internet. It comprises of three major parts. We have the surface web, we have the deep web, and we have the dark web. So the surface web is what all of us are seeing on the internet. And trust me, that's very, very minute. That's like maybe 20% or less of the entire thing that is on this internet. So, which is what all of us have access to, the .com, .gov, .info, .this, that is all that we have. So for the dark web, you'll be seeing things like the deep web, you'll be seeing things like .onion. So that's because the dark web is usually known as an onion website. So that's why you see that when you see a link, for people that might be familiar with buying things on the black market. So actually, dark web is like a black market. It's dark, the black market. You don't know. So um, for those of you that have been buying things on the dark web, maybe before now, you realize that the extensions of it is always .onion. So I'll explain why they have that today also. So the dark web is the part of the internet not indexed by standard search engines like Google, which is what we know, mostly Yahoo, Bing. Some of you use Bing. So the search engine for dark web is called DuckDuck, DUCK, DUCK. So that's the search engine. It's actually, even on the normal internet, you can use the DuckDuck website also. It doesn't save what you search like Google. So it's very anonymous. One of the major advantages of using the dark web is that your things are not stored and you can browse there anonymously. But I always advise people never to expand the screen size of their computers. Don't expand the screen size of your computer when you're on dark web, because already what's the programming of websites is that for you to expand, for you to fill your screen and be nice looking, the website has to pull out some information from your laptop, like the resolution of your laptop, the make, and all those other things. So that could already be giving out a few information that you might not want to go out on the internet. Like I told you, the dark web is for anonymity. So for instance, if you're an activist that has been banned from, or maybe you feel that the government is trying to survey you, the government is you're on the surveillance by the government, or you're a spy, this is the best website. It was actually developed by the US Department of Defense. So now, you need to install specific softwares and configure the softwares to be able to access this dark web that we'll be talking about today. So, some sites on the deep webs don't use the standard thing, like I said, .net and all that. And it's the dark web relies on what we call P2P, peer-to-peer connections, and it requires specialized tools and softwares for you to do that. So the Tor browser is like the major one. We have other browsers that you can use, but the Tor browser is the most, let's say, familiar or easy to learn. Probably as you develop your skills, you'll be able to I told you before, one of the major skills of an attacker is to always research. Maybe as you develop your skills, you'll be able to go deeper and get some other tools that you might be comfortable with on surfing the web. So an easy way to find content on the dark web is to receive the link from someone that already knows about it. That's the truth, because sometimes it's very difficult to search for things. So it's I told you the dark web is known for communicating and selling maybe some illegal items. You can buy weapons, you can buy some malwares, you can buy exploits, you can buy drugs, you can buy a whole lot of things from the dark web. But please, I'm not teaching you the dark web for some illegal things. You can still be caught if you don't know how to use it properly. So it's the purpose of this is for your information and for you to be aware of some things that are running behind the surface web. It's not for you to go there, buy drugs or weapons. If you do that, you get caught up with. You might get caught up with if you don't do that properly. So yeah, very careful when you're running on the dark web also. Make sure you follow the legalities of our land. Whatever is not permitted, please don't do it. So on the dark web, you can get credit cards. I'm sure some of our Yahoo boys in Nigeria and around the world, they already know this, that's one of the places where people buy stolen credit cards, stolen data, and a whole lot of things that you might not be allowed to sell on the surface web. So yeah, please be very careful when you're accessing the dark web. So now, how do you access the dark web? So initially, the dark web was mainly used by government agencies, big businesses, hackers, cyber criminals, and the hosts, the likes I told you, activists also use it. So, okay, I don't want to give an example, but for instance, if your government is going after you, one of the easiest things for you to do is just, and you feel that they're checking up on what you're communicating, apart from using our small touchlight phones, you might still want to go on internet. So Tor is one of the best ways to do this. And for you to have total anonymity, there's an operating system that you're advised to use, which is called Tails. Tails as in dog tail with an S. So that's Tails. Please note all these things down just so that, because I don't have that on my slide. So you can install that, download that Tails software. I mean, it's an entire operating system, just like your Windows and your Mac operating system. Or in this case, you don't install it on a machine, you install it on a flash drive. So you just buy a flash drive for that purpose. When it comes to anonymity, you don't joke with anything. So you have to buy the flash drive for the purpose of anonymity, install this Tails software on the flash drive. Don't use the flash drive for any other thing, so that you don't get your information mixed up. So the truth is that the Tails operating system has been configured to run on a flash drive, so that even if anything goes wrong, it's easy for you to discard and all your tracks are covered. Even if any law enforcement agents arrests you, they won't be able to find any implicating. I just laugh sometimes when I hear someone was caught and they saw X number of confidential data and this on the system. Come on, you had the opportunity to use all these tools, and the tools are free of charge. They are open source tools. You don't need to get caught up. It's just a flash drive that's, once something, you just feel something has gone wrong, just pull it out. It's not expensive, trash it, and everything that you've been doing online is gone, and it's easy for you. It's better for you in terms of forensics, because even if you format your hard drive, you have forensics investigators that can still dig that out. So yes, that reminds me also, forensic investigation is also one of the courses that Academy Halogen conducts. And you even learn how to extract data from even a formatted flash drive, a formatted hard disk or a flash drive. So you should know the implication of what you're doing, and to be secure, know what to do, correctly to be secure. So yes, however, since the internet is open to everyone, there's really no privacy, and Tor is the answer to this. So how do you access Tor? How do you access dark web? So it's not like a browser. So the Tor, let me just tell you the meaning of Tor actually. Tor means T for D, that's T-H-E. And then the O means onions. You can see that the logo. Okay, let me turn on my pen. You can see that the logo has an onions. So the logo has an onions. The onions is normal onions. I told you when you're browsing on the dark web, it's instead of .com, it's onions. And so so the reason why it's called onions is because when you send a message, the way onions is, it has several layers. And so that is exactly what this Tor browser does. It encrypts whatever you're doing in layers. So from one layer to another. So it's quite slow, but the truth is that's one of the downsides of using a Tor browser. It's slow, but you are secure. Better for you to have something slow than for you to get caught up by the law or by whatever it is. So it's quite slow, and so you might not enjoy the speed. So we advise to also do it on a very fast network. And the reason why it's slow is because it bounces on several layers, several routers. So the R stands for router. It's a networking device that routes our traffic around on the internet. So Tor is the onion router browser. That's Tor, the onion router browser. So it's in layers, and so it secures whatever you're sending So for instance, now if I send a message from, let me say, Lagos, it could bounce first to Russia, come back to maybe one state in Niger State, maybe Gida or Mina or somewhere, bounce again to one UK country, come out again, go to India, from India, before it finally gets to its destination that is in maybe even in Nigeria also. So it's different from encryption, but in this case, so it confuses. Even a forensics analyst comes on board, he's going to be very confused because that information has bounced almost around the entire world before getting to its final destination. So they can't even really track the final destination because the thing has bounced around everywhere. So that is the onion part of it. That's the onion part of it. So before we go into, so yeah, I hope we'll explain how to install this today. The legality of accessing the dark web. So the truth is that it's perfectly legal to access it and to browse the dark web. And I've told you the benefits you can reap from it. So the truth is, depending on your activities on the dark web, that is what will determine whether what you're doing is legit or not. If that was all, if of course, if you buy a weapon and Nigeria weapons, of course, it's illegal, you get caught up by the law. So your activity on it is what determines the legality. So please, when you're accessing the dark web, be very, very conscious of what you're doing because the law can still catch up with you. And yeah, the law can still catch up with you. So next is before you go into hacking, I would like to tell you the 5 phases of hacking. So as hackers, we don't just hack. We don't just wake up one morning and say, we do sometimes. Yeah, we do sometimes, but most cases, we follow a process. We follow a hacking circle. 5 phases of hacking. So we have 5 phases of hacking. Number 1 is reconnaissance. Number 2, scanning. Number 3, maintaining access. And number 4, okay, sorry, gaining access. And number 4, maintaining access. And number 5, clearing your tracks. So if you're going to get caught at the end of the day, I don't know why you hack. So the truth is that you have to learn how to cover your tracks. If not, when there's an investigator or somebody just comes and that gathers the logs, they're going to see everything you have done. You're going to see everything you have done. Just like in the army. So I will explain everything. This is almost similar to what it takes for the army does just wake up and go and start fighting one particular country or one of your adversaries in the army. You have to do reconnaissance, that's gather a whole lot of information gathering, do a lot of footprinting, you know. Remember in the Bible, let me give that as an example, when um they wanted to attack a particular city and God sent them to go and look at how those people are. And they came back and they're like, those guys are giants, we look like ants in front of them. You know, that was a reconnaissance over there. And so that's also what we do in ethical hacking when we're hacking. Also, even in ethical hacking too, and in the general hacking world, you have to do a reconnaissance. That's the first step of hacking. So it's also called footprinting or information gathering phase. And this is like the preparatory phase where we collect as much information as possible about that target. So we collect information about 3 major groups: the host, the network, people involved. And then there are also 2 types of footprinting. We have the active one, have the passive one. So for active, that is where we are directly interacting with the target to gather information. And one of the things we use for an active information gathering in hacking is Nmap. Tools like Nmap. We use Nmap later today also. Tools like Nmap. For passive, it's when we just try to collect the information without directly accessing that website or that person. You get. So for instance, if I want to gather information about myself or maybe about a particular organization, going there directly is an active is active. You know, I'm doing it directly. But for passive now, I have to go online, search. So that's I'm not touching In fact, they don't even know I'm even having anything to. For instance, I want to hack www.onething.com. I don't even have to target that website directly. That is passive. I'll use Google. I'll see what they have on the web. I'll see what has gone, what has happened over time. See all those things before from Google search engines, from other websites. Before I now start, then even inside their website, I can go there. But this time, I'm not using any specialized tool like Nmap to directly gather the port number, gather the active owner of the website. All those things. No, that is active because I'm actually touching the IP address directly. That's the first stage, which is reconnaissance. Reconnaissance can also be called footprinting. The next stage is scanning. We explained scanning yesterday to some extent, but it's one of the 5 stages of hacking too. We have port scans, vulnerability scanning, network mapping. Let me not go into it. Okay, but for the benefit of those that might have not been, on the class yesterday, let me just go through those things. The 3 types of scanning involves port scanning, where we gather to see things like open ports, live systems, various services that are running on that machine. It's also one of the things that we'll be checking when we're doing port scanning. The next one is vulnerability scanning, where we check the target for weaknesses, vulnerabilities that can also be exploited. This is usually done by the help of a lot of automated tools. Network mapping, which we use Nmap, is just to map, and see the information of what we'll be doing throughout the entire phase of the hacking. So the next stage, I deliberately rushed over this scanning phase because we talked about that yesterday. Let's not use this time. I'll have a whole lot to do practical wise today. So I'll just rush over this a little bit. So the next one is going to be gaining access, and that is the major thing that everybody likes, which is where the attacker actually breaks into a system or network, using various tools and methods. So most times it's based on the information that this attacker has gathered from the reconnaissance phase and the scanning phase. That is what. So for instance, now let me just use Facebook as an example, or Instagram. I get that calls, those kind of calls a lot. Hey, I want to hack this person's Instagram or this person's Facebook. So what we do first is that we have to first of all go to the person's page, see what the person posts, see this, see that, know a little bit about the person. That's reconnaissance, that's gathering the information about the person. The next thing is to scan through the person's page, go through the person's bio, check the person's picture, the kind of person, sometimes even from the picture, we can know who you are. Just go through your picture and analyze, okay, what's the best means for me to attack this person? And, so that is it. The next stage will be gaining access, which is the main thing. Based on all these things I've checked about you, about the person, or about the country when it comes, if it's wartime now, that is what will now determine, okay, how will I gain access? Just like the army, when they've gone, they've checked. The next thing for them to do is, how will we gain access after this, our reconnaissance and footprinting that we have done? How do we gain access, which is the major reason for the hacking, is to gain access. They will now say, okay, when we're doing reconnaissance or scanning, we notice that there's one door that is always open at 7 p.m. So that is the door we'll enter. You get. So that is the same thing that happens in this scanning on. So that's how. So when it's time to gain access to, you'll be like, okay, based on what you have gathered from the first 2 stages, what is the best approach to attack? And we also use various tools like Metasploit, social engineering. If you feel that, from all our scanning and all those things, this person is a very strong target. Next thing is for us to social engineer the person into giving us the password or something, and then, or maybe the key in the case of maybe a physical house now. And we get our access into it. When you get access, the next thing you can do is to install an application that might need to modify the data or do something similar. The next step will be to maintaining access. The next step will be maintaining access. So, hackers may just want to hack the system to show how vulnerable it is, or it can also be a mischievous person who just wants to maintain persistence and connection. You get. So most times maintaining access can be done using things like Trojans, rootkits. Rootkits are just viruses that attack like from the roots of the system. So you can use things like rootkit, another kind of malicious file, just to maintain targets. I told you also what backdoors mean. So maintaining access is similar to backdoors, where you install backdoors on your system. You install backdoors on the system. So um when you install backdoors on the system. So and I've explained what backdoors mean. Backdoor is when you don't want to come in again through the same. Of course, it was difficult for you to do reconnaissance, you did scanning, you gained access, and then so next time you want to attack the person, you want to go through all those wahala again. No, now the best thing is for you to gain access. So you have stolen a house key, you've entered the house. The next thing for you to do is maybe look for where they normally hide the spare key. So that next time you are coming, it will be easy for you to just enter. Or maybe the first time you jump through fence to enter the house. Now you have entered, is it not better for you to look for spare key so that next time you just go through the gate? So that's exactly what attackers do. You don't like that stress of having to go through all those processes again. So that's one of the major things. You also have to learn how to maintain access. You have to learn how to maintain access. Or somebody and his girlfriend that girlfriend locks her phone with maybe fingerprint. And today, luckily for you, she gave you the passcode. The next thing for you to do is quickly run into the settings and add your own fingerprint. I mean, no be so. So that next time you won't have to go through that stress of looking for the passcode again. So that's just the scope. You maintain access. It's one of the major things that we always advise people in ethical hacking. Maintaining access is very important phase. And the next phase is clearing of your tracks. Of course, you have to clear your tracks. No thief wants to get caught at all. No thief wants to ever get caught. So what they do is we have to clear our track whenever we attack anywhere. So an intelligent hacker always clears all evidence, so that later, point of time, no one will ever find traces that will lead to him as the attacker. And also as an attacker, you have to do a lot of things. I hope we have enough time. I'll show you how to install proxies on your Kali Linux machine so that if I have to change your MAC address on your Kali machine so that just in case it doesn't really, whatever hack you have done doesn't fall back to you. But we have in forensics, we have different ways of still picking that out. So that's why you need to be smart. So one of the major phases of hacking is to clear your tracks. Clearing your tracks is a very, very important phase. Nobody wants to get caught. Every intelligent hacker must clear his tracks. It must never trace back to who you are. You get, you must never be able to trace it back. And one of the things that clearing tracks involves is you have to know how to modify, maybe corrupt, or even delete the values in the logs. So you need to be able to know how to access logs of a particular system. Everything we do on the system. Sometimes if somebody handles my system and I come back, I'll just come and say, how far? You open this, you open that, you touch this, you touch that. And people are always like, how come? The truth is that we have logs that gather all this information on our machines. You might not, you don't know, but that's why you see that sometimes when I'm sure if you've experienced a point where your system hangs, and the next thing it tells you, should we send this information to Microsoft or so that they are, I'm sure that error must have popped up once or twice while we're using our machine. That is what that application or software is trying to do is it's trying to it has gathered all the logs of what was happening before that crash. So they send it to the developers of that particular software and they now maybe work on it. So what they go through is the logs. Same thing in hacking now. You have to learn how to modify those logs so that all the activities you did are not traceable. You get sometimes you might even need to uninstall all the applications that you used. You have to delete folders that you created. You have to do a whole lot of things. Clearing, just make sure anyhow, depending on the hack, but the major thing is the logs, depending on the hack, modify the log, delete it, or even if you feel I've been in an environment before and we couldn't delete the logs because of the limitations we had. And what did we do? We had to corrupt it. So even if they end up retrieving the logs, it gives them invalid data. So that is one of the things that is one of the tracks. So now I think that's enough for the theory for today. Let's quickly jump into the practical aspect. So for those of you that have your systems with you, um, For those of you that have your systems with you, get ready. If you have just your phone, so for the Tor browser, I'll show you how you can also install. You can follow similar steps installing the Tor browser on your phone. Yeah, you can follow the same steps installing the Tor browser on your phone. It might just be a little bit difficult, but yeah, if you're someone that uses it often or that plans to be using, maybe you're an activist or something, or you're a spy, you can just install it on your phone too, so you have it on the go. Yeah. So the next thing is practical aspects. So let's move to practicals. I hope you enjoyed all the theory parts. Might not be able to cover everything that you might have in your mind, but I'm sure so the next tools that we require for our practical session will be to download the Tor browser. So let's start with the Tor browser. So just follow what I'll be doing. So for today, for us to get the Tor browser, for us to get the Tor browser, you open your browser. And let me just do it in the general way that everybody could understand. You can do a Google search. So you open your Google machine and you just say download Tor browser. Browser. You mind my spelling, no? So check the URL very well. You check the URL very well. Make sure that what we have here is the torproject.org.com. So that is what you have to look out for. If you scroll down, so let me just go back. If you scroll down, you will notice some other sites have it. You can see Tor browser on Subsonic, Tor browser on TechSpot, Tor browser on download that. Please don't follow those ones. Don't, please. You go with the first one. That's the Tor project. Let me just open it on another browser. I mean, on another tab. And yeah. So, depending on the machine you're using, I told you for those of you that are Android users, you can still continue with it. You can download the Android version. So following us on your phone, you can download the Android version of it. But for us, for today's session, we'll be downloading the Windows version, which is what we have here. So my internet is not so fast, but I have 26 seconds left. So when it gets downloaded, I'll show you all the installation process and procedure. For those of you that have downloaded it yesterday, good for you. You might not need to wait, have all this our waiting time for now. So that's very good. We'll do this one at a time. I would have suggested we start downloading the what did they call it? Oh, that's completed. So I don't want to open my folder, but let me just open it from here. But the best way is to open your folder and download it. So I just click it, and then when you see this button, you need to see the publisher is the Tor project. So that shows that it's from the right source. If it has a different name here, please don't run it. That means your system might have been hacked and somebody else has maybe there's a proxy in between. So yeah, run with the next thing. So when you click run, a dialog box pops up. A dialog box pops up, which is this. Select the language. You have a list of languages. So if you understand French, you can select French, but I'm selecting English. Another pop-up asks you for the folder where you want it to go to. I think my drive C is full, so let me just push it to the drive D. So for drive D, I created, I actually use a double hard disk SSD and each hard drive. So let me see, should I do solution? So we can actually make a new folder. So let me just make a new folder, or yeah, so let me just make a new folder for it. But don't, if you have enough space on your system, just use the default folder that your system has given you, which is totally fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to do this because I want something. So I can just say Tor browser. And then select that. And then install. So yeah, so we install. Let's wait for it to finish installing and follow the next process. So it says run, it says add to desktop. If you like, I want to run it, but I'll just finish. I'll just uncheck all those things and then click on finish. Your system might be quite slower than mine, to take longer to install. So when I come here, all I need to do is search for the Tor browser. It should be among the top list actually, but it's not going to be there. So what we'll do is we just search for Tor browser. Or search for, oh, I know why. I know why. I didn't install it in the default folder. So I'll have to go and search for it in the default folder where we installed it. Well, for the purpose of this training, you can read it on your desktop, because for those that might not know how to do this, so I just have to. So I've started the Tor browser actually. I had to go into the folder and then you look for this icon that says Start Tor browser. So you go to this icon that says, I was able to look. So what I did was I went here, I located the folder where it was, where I selected before, and then I'm going to click Start the Tor browser. It has actually started. This is how it looks when it has started. And then remember to check this box, always connect automatically. There's really nothing you might want to do here when there's really no need. So for now, we'll just leave everything at default. Let's not waste time trying to tweak to tweak anything for now. Over time, you will understand what you need to tweak. But for now, let's just connect. So connect automatically, and then you click on connect. And then it establishes, So now, here we are. The Tor browser has kicked up. And then the next thing for us to do is to, this is the DuckDuckGo I was telling you about initially. It is the default search engine. It's a search engine that doesn't reveal your identity. So this is a Tor browser. This is a Tor browser. You see, similar to what we have as my Chrome browser, but in this case, this is different. You can see even you can always get a new identity. You can see that is the new identity tab, where if you have browsed for a little bit, you can just switch your identity. I didn't use any VPN today because this is for training purpose, but if you really want to use it and you have a VPN company or a VPN provider that you're very familiar with, choose a choice and use your VPN. You can use your VPN vendor that you like. So it's always good to run it alongside another VPN. So that gives you like double protection. So you can always create a new identity, you see. So it's reset your identity, but that's how you do that. We're not doing anything so serious today, so there's no need to reset our identity. So let's just close this. So today, if we want to browse the Tor browser, right now we can go anywhere in the dark web that is normally restricted to general users. So you can go into the dark web right now. So for the dark web, you can just do .onions and let's see what we get. It's very slow. That's the truth. The Tor browser is extremely slow because it jumps on different. Right now, this packet I've sent might have jumped around the entire country. So we have jumped around the entire, not just the country, jumped around the entire world. Um, so I told you before. So if you see here, it's suggesting us 12 best onion sites of the dark web. So if you click on that, so this is also a very good search engine. It's called IMA, AHMIA. It's very good browser also for security. If you check it out, you can see that the extension is .onion. You see Haystack. It's another search engine. You see Torch. It's another search engine for the dark web. See DuckDuckGo. It's also another good search engine for the dark web. This is the wiki, hidden wiki. So let's do hidden wiki and see. These are some of the media organizations that are, hidden. So if you notice the URLs here, did you notice something about the URLs? It doesn't have a name. Did you notice that? So that's why sometimes for you to access the dark web, somebody actually has to share you the when you access the dark web, somebody has to have shared you the link before. And so yeah, that is the dark web. I don't want to do some funny searches. Even BBC is on the dark web. You can click that. See the extension. It's not .com. It's the onions. It's very slow. Trust me, but I'm sure you get the concept. I'm sure you get the concept. There's also dark web for Facebook. It's very slow because this is gonna jump around. So yeah, wiki, hidden wiki has opened, and you can see oldest credit card vendor, top quality, United States and EU credit cards, hidden wallets, PayPal Bazaar. See a whole lot of marketplaces. See, this is a commercial service. Um, this is the dark web version of a whole lot of popular websites. Facebook, the CIA. CIA has an onion website too. You can check that. This is our Facebook. So if you are an activist and you don't want your information to be shown to people, you can use this. So nobody even knows you're accessing, nobody knows where you're accessing Facebook. The thing about so this is a no script. You can install it if you want. So what this does is an extension. It's an extension that requests so that no JavaScript can be loaded on the page. So please activate it also because JavaScripts contain a whole lot of malicious codes that you might not be aware of. So I explained to you too that don't always enlarge the page. I enlarge this because this is for training purposes. One of the major advice is to always run your Tor browser at the default page view, page size. So Don't always enlarge it. That's one of the security features. Don't enlarge your dark web page. So let me just, you can see a whole lot of things. I'm just looking for the one I can open that's not be too so let me just go around it and see. The CIA opened. It's still opening. It's very slow. That's the truth, but it's secure. See this? If I copy this URL now and paste it in my and paste it in my, let's see, maybe there's an upgrade on this browser. So you can see it will never load because you're not using Tor. So that is it, the onion router. It should never load. So those of you using your phones too, it's very easy. The same way, you see how we went about searching for all these things. That is the way you do it. Sometimes you might need to be sent a link, and so that is the link that you just use to access the dark website. Yeah, just use to access the dark website. So we have 10 minutes left before we let me just rush over this again today so that we're going to break on time. But before we go on break, I will show you a few things you need to download so that when we come back, it'll be easy for us to go ahead. So this is the Tor browser, and you see I loaded an Onion site here in a regular browser, and it didn't load. So that is it. That's to show that you need the Tor. You see, this is BBC. This is a hidden BBC website, which is not generally available to the public. CIA website has opened. It took so long because I told you it's very slow, but your information is 100% secure, anonymous browsing. I can clear my tracks right now, create a new identity, and we're good to go. So if I even increase the security standard, it will be higher, it will be slower, which means it bounces around more routers around the world, so it might be a little bit slower. This is okay. So let's go back to our list. Let's go back to our list. I forgot to tell you guys something. You see, Proton email services is one of very extremely secure. It's more secure than Google and the rest. So you can also use Proton Mail sometimes when you're doing some very you see, it's an email service popular with cryptocurrency enthusiasts. So let me not digress. I'm just trying to look for one or two websites. Okay, let me go through because this is an online training. We need to be extremely careful with what we display. So let me just use okay. This is an European gun website. I'm sure that's not a big deal. We're not buying any gun. I'm just show you guys. Don't go and buy gun or maybe me show you. So you can see it, that's the website. This is how it works. Onion,